All right, welcome back to Black Cat Crypto Club. We've got a few things going on today. Wanted to get on and make a video. I also had a comment on the last video that I want to kind of go through and just kind of explain, the comment and kind of what I think. Also, I haven't done a video in like 5 or 6 days probably. Didn't mean to abandon ship during dip or anything. But I actually had that crazy thing called life popped up again, and I had a bunch of stuff to deal with. Not only that, but we had Thanksgiving again, right? So every year. Anyways, guys, let's get into the video today. I'm going to start off by going into this comment again from Jimmy Timber 7074 left a comment on the last video and said, "Another great video. Keep them coming. Thank you." I really still don't believe or trust these companies like Microstrategy, though. We were talking about Microstrategy buying $5.4 billion worth of Bitcoin in the last video. So he says he doesn't trust companies like MicroStrategy. I would like to see them show proof of what they hold. Couldn't they just be lying about what they are buying and try to pump the price? I understand OTC Bitcoin, but I wonder if all of these companies could be lying about what they really have for Bitcoin. Can they fudge the Bitcoin ETFs also? It's concerning to me. I love Bitcoin, but I don't know if I love this big money coming in. I just don't trust them. And someday I worry if they will be able to control Bitcoin if they hold enough. Okay. So a lot to kind of go over there. But honestly, like, I don't think you should trust these big companies. Like, generally, you probably shouldn't trust, authority and the government for one, and, big money, are, oftentimes, they're self-serving and want to pump their bags. Yeah, that would be a great thing for them. So generally, I don't trust them either. That said, as far as at least this instance, with MicroStrategy and the ETF providers, the way there has been a lot of conspiracy theories about the ETFs and Blackrock and all of this, and I absolutely do not trust Blackrock, right? And I actually don't love to see big companies and entities actually grabbing up a bunch of Bitcoin either. I think Bitcoin, it's supposed to be for the people, right? And I do, on one hand, I hate to see, MicroStrategy swallowing up Bitcoin. On the other hand, it also helps our bags, right? So it's hard not to kind of cheer for them, but also, like you said, I don't trust them. But in this case, as far as showing proof, it would be nice if they showed proof of reserves, if they made their wallet or wallets public so people could actually see them. And there have been companies that have done that, but I also kind of, on the other side, I understand why you wouldn't want to share that. However, public companies like MicroStrategy do have to file every quarter to the SEC, and they have to show the authorities exactly what they own and what they have on their balance sheets, right? So as far as them, fudging the numbers, if you're a public company, I don't see that too likely, especially if you are a crypto company over the last 4 years, honestly. Like, if you don't think Gary Gensler has been just watching anybody tied to crypto like a hawk, I don't think you know who Gary Gensler is. Gary and the SEC have just absolutely been all over crypto. And if there was anything to be had, they were going to have it. Even if there wasn't anything to be had, they were filing lawsuits and trying to damage the entire industry. So honestly, I think if you were into Bitcoin and you were having to file publicly over the last 4 years at least, I think you'd probably be walking on eggshells, trying to do everything possibly right, because any little slip up and you could, in my mind, you could probably expect a Wells notice and a lawsuit from the SEC and Gary Gensler. They've tried to debank anybody doing, it's part of that choke point 2.0, where they've literally tried to debank any business, any bank, anything that has any link to cryptocurrency. And not just the SEC. It's been the Federal Reserve has been hostile towards Custodia Bank in Wyoming, which is Caitlin Long's bank. They've been completely hostile towards her because of her connection to Bitcoin. But also the FDIC has been hostile. The Department of Justice, all of the government agencies have been really, really hostile towards anything Bitcoin over the last 4 years. And so, although I don't trust and I don't love these big companies like MicroStrategy, it's hard for me to believe in conspiracies of them fudging the numbers. Now, eventually, hopefully, their wallets will kind of become public information. There is a company, I think it's Arkham, and they do put together transactions and they do find out whose wallet is whose. So on Arkham, you can go to Arkham and you can see like Tesla's holdings of Bitcoin. Just through research, they've come to find out these wallets because it's all public, right? You can see it. And so if you know who's doing what at a certain time, usually you can put together the pieces and find out these wallets. Now, I think MicroStrategy so far has kind of eluded that. But eventually, I think it will probably come out and people will know and the same with these ETFs, hopefully. Now, there is at least one of the Bitcoin ETFs did provide proof of reserves. So they did provide their wallets. So you can go, I think it's Bitwise or, I think it's Bitwise, but I could be wrong there. Anyways, the same thing kind of goes for Blackrock and the ETFs. They have to settle, it's obviously, yes, they can buy their own ETF, but a lot of their volume is just their customers, right? So they have to buy and sell as their customers are buying and selling, and they have to do that. The SEC made them do it T1, which I believe is they have 1 business day to settle all of those transactions that have happened in the day, right? And again, I don't think even BlackRock would have had the gall to fudge the numbers on this, with the hostility that we've seen. I'm very skeptical of that. Now, that said, obviously, like I said, I don't love these big companies coming in and swallowing up our Bitcoin on the one hand, but it does help, for those of us that have gotten in to Bitcoin already, it does help us. The bad thing is there's a lot of friends and family of mine that I still have yet to hit that switch in their mind where they go, aha, of course I should buy Bitcoin. And so those kind of people, unfortunately, this cycle is shaping up to be, the last cycle that we'll be able to front run these big institutions and big money and governments and, whatnot. Now, when that happens, it will still be good to own Bitcoin, even if you miss front running all of the big money, because you're still going to either be in the dollar, which is depreciating, or you can hold something scarce like Bitcoin. So it's still going to, even if you miss the boat, it's never too late to buy Bitcoin. Is the point. Now let's go back to this. Seemed like there was one more thing. So Jimmy Timber says this last line: I just don't trust them, and someday worry that if they will be able to control Bitcoin if they hold enough. So this is something I actually see a lot of people that even, know what Bitcoin is and know how it works. I see this come from people that have a good understanding of Bitcoin, and I don't understand it. Not what you're saying, but what I hear all the time is like Blackrock and Microstrategy own all of this money and it's not decentralized anymore. That's not quite true. So the network, it doesn't matter how much Bitcoin you own. If BlackRock swallowed up 99% of Bitcoin, they still wouldn't control the network. The network would still be decentralized. So by these big companies swallowing up a bunch of Bitcoin, they're not going to be able to control Bitcoin as far as the network goes. They won't be able to suppress, transactions or anything like that. The one thing that does give them a bit of control, I guess, is that if you own 5% of Bitcoin, you have a good portion to swing the price when you want it, when you want to swing the price. Now, that sucks. If people start manipulating Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin. But essentially, if you're on a Bitcoin standard and the world really moves towards a Bitcoin standard, which is a ways off, I would think anyway. If the dollar hits hyperinflation and all these fiat currencies kind of crash, it'll happen all at once. But, it's like they say, slowly, and then all at once. 2% per year, the inflation rate that the Fed aims for is I guess slow. Seems ridiculous to me, but it's slow. People don't recognize it from year to year too much. But hyperinflation, when hyperinflation happens, it happens all at once. That said, like I was saying, if you're on a Bitcoin standard, if the world goes to a Bitcoin standard and BlackRock or MicroStrategy or whoever owns 5% or whatever, and they decide to get rid of it, it's not going to matter as much because we'll be on a Bitcoin standard. And so other things will fluctuate, but I don't know. It's not good, but at the end of the day, they don't control Bitcoin, right? So it's still going to be the money of freedom. Anybody will be able to transact on it, and it kind of is what it is. A lot of people, really point to these big institutions coming in and saying this isn't what Satoshi wanted. But guys, you got to think about it for a minute. If Bitcoin really is going to be mass adopted and used as a freedom tool where everyone can transact freely, we had to expect that big money would get into it eventually. I mean, I think if we could interview Satoshi, they would even concede that eventually it was inevitable. So it's not something I really worry about a lot, because the Bitcoin will still remain decentralized. Whether they're fudging the numbers or not is, I guess, a moot point. But I think it's very unlikely, especially with the hostility that we've seen. So that said, guys, quick thing before we get into the news today. The news actually happened an hour and a half ago that I'm going to show you guys. And this really kind of plays into this whole first question from Jimmy Timber. Again, thank you for the comment. If any of you guys have questions or comments like this that you want me to discuss on the channel, let me know. But before we get into anything else, guys, I do want to take you over. This is a new month, and we have a new sanctuary that I am kind of spotlighting and trying to help raise some money for. This is Stevens Forever Farm Sanctuary, guys. These guys are a very small sanctuary, so anything you guys can donate really helps them out. They've got a bunch of pigs that they're caring for, turkeys, bunnies, goats, all kinds of animals here. But anything you can help out with really goes a long ways for these guys. I will leave their Instagram, their Facebook, and Venmo and PayPal in the descriptions of all of my videos this week. Or this month, this entire month. So if you guys can, please go over and help them out. Always appreciated on my part. They are also a nonprofit, so anything you donate towards them, helps when it comes tax time. So go over and help them out. Okay, so let's get into the news that just happened like an hour or two ago. This is U.S. government. So the U.S. government stole a bunch of Bitcoin from a lot of people, confiscated it from Silk Road, which was an online dark marketplace. So they just this morning transferred $1.9 billion worth of Bitcoin to Coinbase. Now, I don't have the charts pulled up. Right now we're at about 95,600. But right after this happened, the price crashed from like 97,000 down to 94,000 pretty quickly. And the reason for this is if you think about it, you don't really send your Bitcoin from an off exchange wallet onto exchange unless you're typically looking to sell it, right? So everybody's freaking out that the government's selling their Bitcoin. The really horrible thing about this, guys, is that this is the Bitcoin that Donald Trump and RFK and Cynthia Loomis were all proposing to take and make a Bitcoin reserve and hold. Now, it seems like the current administration, the Biden administration, is doing some dirties and looking to sell this before Donald Trump takes office and can make it a Bitcoin reserve. So, anyways, they transferred 1.9 billion, which is about 2 billion out of their $20 billion worth of Bitcoin that they held. So this is 1/10 of what they had, and they've transferred it to Coinbase. Now, again, guys, this just irritates me because, Kamala Harris, when she lost the election, said that there was going to be a peaceful transfer. But guys, this isn't peaceful. This is straight up just vindictive of what was proposed that they were going to be doing with this Bitcoin. So really irritating, really sad to see the Democratic Party go this way. And here's another thing, guys. Just yesterday, President Biden went back on his word, said he wouldn't use his power to pardon his son, Hunter. And yesterday he went back on that and pardoned him for gun and tax evasion, were the two charges that he pardoned him for, which I don't even know how to unpack that level of hypocrisy, guys, because the Democratic Party is very much against that. They are for more taxes and providing social government run platforms, right? Like it or not, they like to fund these social programs, and that means taxes. So very hypocritical on the tax charge. And then the gun charge, one of their biggest things is very anti-gun. Unless it's them doing it, guys. If they're evading taxes and they're gonna have the guns, it's fine. This is irritating because this is why I don't trust politicians in general. And this goes for the Republican Party too. Let's be fair. If we had a Republican in the same shoes, you could guarantee they'd be doing the same exact thing. But this is what's happening right now, and it's just mind-blowing levels of hypocrisy on Biden and the Democrats' part. But anyways, guys, 1.9 billion out of $20 billion, which the government holds, if they end up just dumping all of it, $20 billion, guys. I am going to give you a silver lining here. Back, it was probably 5 months ago, guys, you might remember this. Germany sells off final Bitcoin reserves from initial 3 billion worth of holdings. Now, if you remember this time, the price did react because these guys did it on spot Bitcoin. I don't know if the US has the gall to try and dump $20 billion worth on spot. If they do, be prepared because spot price will tank. But it'll be short term, guys, because look, we went through this $3 billion worth of Germany and people got really worried and nothing came of it. And now we're almost double of what we were back then. Now, granted, $3 billion is much less than 20 billion. But you might also remember this, guys. FTX has 16.5 billion worth that they, and this isn't Bitcoin. This is in stable coins and dollars that they're distributing back to the people that they owe money to. Now, when you distribute Bitcoin back like Mt. Gox did, you expect at least some of that to be sold once it's received by the people who were owed money. When you distribute dollars, rather, now suddenly people have a bunch of money that they can invest in Bitcoin. So this is, when FTX distributes a bunch of dollars back into the system, it'll be good for Bitcoin because these people already into crypto. Now, some of them might not because they've been burnt by FTX, but some of them might actually, believe in what Bitcoin actually is. So a lot of this money will come back into Bitcoin. That's 16.5, guys. That only leaves 3.5 billion of a difference between this FTX deal and the US's Bitcoin that the government has. Now, guys, I don't know, honestly, I don't know if the government is planning on selling this Bitcoin. I hope not, but it, wouldn't surprise me at the same time, with just how dirty these politicians play sometimes. Now, why would they? I don't know. Why would they move it to Coinbase? There have been times in the past where they have moved this Silk Road money, and guys, it doesn't even have to be sold. It just moves. And we've been dealing with this same thing from the US government for years and years. But Silk Road Bitcoin will move and everybody gets scared and dumps Bitcoin. And then they don't end up selling it. So this could just be a tactic. I don't know what they're doing, but be prepared for the worst. I expect that things will go on. This is a short-term thing, especially with FTX. Let's go back to that. I didn't even read all of that, but I reported on this quite a while ago. And in the article that I read, it was due that they dispersed this 16.5 billion by September. However, I since heard that it was delayed. And so I just typed in FTX delays repayment, and the AI overview here says, no, FTX is not delaying the repayment, but is on track to begin distributing proceeds in early 2025. So this will start happening in a month or so. There was another part in here. We'll begin. So the CEO, John J. Ray III, announced that the company will begin distributing proceeds in early 2025. So I don't know what article I read that said they were doing this in September, but they were just approved in October by the judge that they could start dispersing this. So they will start dispersing this at the beginning of the year. Whether or not, it's an offset to that government Silk Road Bitcoin, who knows? But guys, I don't know. It's hard to speculate. Donald Trump gets into office and might just pull an executive order and buy everything back up if the Democrats vindictively trash that Bitcoin. So, and hopefully they'll have to buy it back at a higher price. Good. Give us back our Bitcoin. I've always said that, sell that Silk Road Bitcoin. Give us back our Bitcoin that you stole. So anyways, guys, that's just kind of my thoughts today. I know, there's been some volatility today, but I really do think it's just a short-term kind of thing. We also did have economic stuff come in today. The ISM manufacturing came in today, which is that it's that indicator that I've been talking about, that every month since, I believe, June, the week prior to the ISM coming out, we have dumped. And luckily, we're getting it this month, the second day of the month, so it hasn't been like a week full of December that we've dumped. But we have kind of seen that the last week. We've kind of drawn down over the last week. And now we've got this economic indicator out of the way. Guys, I don't know if it's tied to this ISM, but it's getting to be more and more, I don't know, ever since June or, July or whatever, the exact same thing has happened. So it's becoming, in my mind, a lot less likely. Now, like I've said before, the ISM isn't something that a lot of people really talk about. But every month it's been a thing, guys, the last 6 months or 7 months. So anyways, guys, hopefully we've gotten that out of the way and we can just, we had October was good. September, the historically worst month for Bitcoin. We had the best September this year Bitcoin has ever seen. We had a great October. Moonvember was awesome. We went up 37% in November, guys. So we had a great Moonvember. And now December's here, and the big thing in the cryptoverse that people call it is Santa Rally. So this month will be the Santa Rally, guys. So get ready for that. Good things are coming, guys. There's no doubt in my mind. Even this $20 billion doesn't compare to what the ETFs will be pulling in. So again, don't trust either side. Jimmy Timber, thank you for the comment. Hopefully that kind of gives you something to think about. I don't know. That's just how I see it. So anyways, guys, I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for coming by.